Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd do a quick review, standing here in my wine cellar, of the Springboks win over Wales. Exceptional win, really a good win in Cardiff. The record-breaking win, the biggest win ever in Cardiff, which is, shouldn't be laughed about. I know it wasn't the best Wales team, but still, one of their best wins ever, well, the best win ever over there. So let's get started. So first of all, let's go have a look at the positives. The Boks won. They won handsomely. They were on top the entire game. There's very little you can actually say that was wrong with their game. There are a couple of concerns which I'll get to in a moment, but overall, an exceptionally good win for the Springboks. It's 2 weeks out from the World Cup, less than 3 weeks out from the World Cup, from their first game against Scotland. And you've got to start with what were the Boks looking for in this game. They were looking for momentum. They were looking for a good, solid victory. They were looking for, form for players. And they were looking for Siya Kolisi to come through the game unscathed. And they got that. I think we saw tonight why Siya is so important to the team. The way he got into the tram lines for that first try. The way that offload to Malcolm Marx was exceptional. I think that was a huge thing what the Boks were looking for. And they got 40 good minutes out of him. And for that, there's a lot to celebrate for. Add to that, Oxenchair, who came on and put in powerful performance in the scrum. There's a lot for the Boks to celebrate. Of course, this wasn't the best Welsh team. They lost Dan Biggar and Liam Williams before the time. They lost Alex Cuthbert. It wasn't their best side. It was a young team, and they got totally outclassed. But you can only play what's in front of you, so we should always remember that. And for the Boks, well, you know what? This was a good exercise. It was a good run. It got Siya through game time. It got the Boks through a lot of their work. You could see a lot of things didn't come off. They probably left about 4 tries out there, but still, to win by 50 points, pretty decent in any international game, and especially a couple of weeks after the World Cup. That's certainly what you're looking for from your side. So that they'll be happy. But let's go on to a bit more in depth. A little bit more analysis and where the Boks probably need to work on before the World Cup, because I think that's the main thing. While we're all happy that the Boks won, there's a couple of things that are really a bit worrying at the moment. 3 things, in fact. One, Manie the Boks kicking. Now, I've been a big, I've watched Manie since he was a junior. I watched him at the Bulls, watched him at the Sharks. I've watched him flourish at the Stormers. And he's been very good. He's been exceptionally good. And I've been one who's supporting him, because basically the way I keep on saying to people is, who else is there? Now, I know some people are going to say to me Handré Pollard, but Handré Pollard's currently not in the squad, so we won't factor him in. If there's an injury, I'm sure Handré will come in. And maybe the Boks are banking on that later in the tournament. But at the moment, Handré is not part of the squad, so we don't talk about him. Elton Yankees is not part of the squad, so we didn't talk about him either. And if you look at who's in the squad, who's the other goal kickers, Damian Willemse. Well, Damian's got... And if you look who's else in the squad, Damian Willemse. Well, Damian tends to be a very much confidence player. He's the type of guy who, if he misses his first kick, it sort of ruins the rest of his game. Maybe not ruins, but affects the rest of his game. And I think that's a bit of a problem. So Manie's still our best choice goal kicker at the moment. And the fact that he's not kicking at 80% is probably a big worry. Especially the World Cup's going to be decided by inches. It's going to be decided by close calls. And you need a goal kicker that's going to step up. So I think that is a concern. When Jacques Nienaber tonight said he must just keep on plugging on. I think the Boks don't really have another choice. They've got Faf and Chesney who can also kick, but I don't think they want to pull that card if they don't need to. So Manie must just step up in their eyes at least. And I suppose that's the cards they've been dealt. So they're backing him. He needs to obviously produce. The fact that he didn't today, a number of times he missed 4 kicks, is a massive concern going into the World Cup. It's something that's going to probably worry Springbok fans. But if they score 8 tries like they did today, it probably won't be a factor. But in those close games against Ireland and Scotland, it's probably going to be more of an interesting debating point. And obviously the Boks will hope that he comes through in those games. Manie has come through in big games before. I don't think there's that much of a worry. I think you've got to play the cards you dealt, and that's what the Boks are doing right now. even if they're not perfect. So I think the Boks realise they probably have to compensate in other ways to give Mani enough chance to get those points. But yeah, that is a concern going to the World Cup. The second point, of course, is under the high ball. Suddenly, from New Zealand, the Boks are almost struggling under the high ball. Don't think they took the first 3 or 4. They adjusted a bit in the second half, got much better late first half, early second half. But yeah, it became a problem, and it is something that opposition teams are going to worry about. Of course, there was probably a bit of illegal tactics there, taking out Validaroo once or twice in the game. But saying that, it's still a concern, because if a team gets away with that and they score a try from that, you don't go back to it. 7 points is 7 points, and that could be the difference between the World Cup quarterfinals, semi-final, a pool game that could put you into the quarterfinals. So I think that is a concern for the Boks. I'm not quite sure why they're struggling under the high ball. I think, it is something that they will work on, and knowing them, they'll concentrate quite hard on it. But it is something that is a concern for the Springboks at the moment. Then the other concern is obviously discipline. The Boks had a number of penalties in the game. They gave Wales, if you look at those first 9 points Wales scored, they were pretty easy. They were soft penalties. They were penalties that really could make a difference in the World Cup as well. So you do expect them to obviously do a lot better in a World Cup and maybe cut down those penalties, but it will be a focus for them. And then late in the game as well, they also, a couple of penalties there before, I think it was Peter Steph's intercept. Before that, there was a couple of penalties. The Boks were on their own line before they intercepted as well. A better team would have done a lot more damage, and the Boks need to watch that as well. Saying that, you should never be despondent on a Springbok victory. They won, that's the main thing. I think you should be very happy with a Bok victory always. So there's nothing, if you look at the good performances tonight, Jesse Kriel was probably my man of the match. I thought he was streets ahead of any other player in the game, defensively and on attack, and I think he could have scored another try as well. The 2 tries he scored, his work off the ball was exceptional. Canan Moodie got the man of the match award. He was very good. He was exceptionally good, and I mean, you can't really fault him getting it. It's hard to believe he's only 20 years old. So Canan did exceptionally well as well. He deserved the man of the match award. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to fault it as well. There was a number of other players. Peter Steph put in a huge engine as well. The front row, both front rows were exceptional. Demolished the Welsh scrum pretty easily. John Klein and Erge were pretty good as a lock pairing. They can't really fault the loose trio in any way as well, though Jasper did have a rather quiet game, I thought. Changed a bit when Dwayne came on. Halfbacks, nothing really other than Moni's goal kicking that you can really doubt. Jaden's up and unders were his base kicking was pretty good. The midfield was good. Back 3 were pretty good as well, other than the fielding of the high balls. I think that was something that obviously became an issue later. But yeah, not too much. When you win by 50 points, you can't find too much fault. A lot of positives out of the game, a lot of cohesiveness, a lot of momentum, a lot of how can I put it, ticking the right boxes for them. You know, this is not the perfect performance. They know they're going to get better. Next week against the All Blacks will be a huge test for them. It'll be interesting to see how they pull that one off. Okay, so let's go into the quick sections. The MVP. The MVP was pretty easy. I thought it was Jesse Kriel for me. I thought his work off the ball, his work on attack, he got 2 tries today, his work on defence, still the best defensive 13 for me in world rugby. I know a lot of people might argue with me with that, but it's good to see him coming out of the Kanye's shadow, and well played, Jesse. Unsung hero for the Springboks. Well, I think there was a number of them today, and I think I'd probably give it to Sia, even though it wasn't really unsung that much. I'm glad he came through 40 minutes. He showed that what he could do. He showed in that first try his value to the Boks, and unsung hero, even though there were a lot of better candidates for the position, but Sia did pretty well today. So he's my unsung hero, pretty easy. that one. And then finally, the moment that mattered, well, that's a TMO call against Rio Dyer. What a TMO call. My first reaction was that Kanan probably knocked the ball on. I think the replays probably proved that to me in my mind. The referees couldn't find anything there. Joy Neville, the TMO, she decided that it wasn't a knock-on. They decided, Rio Dyer obviously knocked the ball out, and they decided it was a penalty try. I thought it was a bit of a harsh one. I thought he probably could have got the yellow card for knocking the ball out, but if Kanan had knocked the ball on, then obviously that was the first offence, so it wouldn't have been a yellow card then. So I thought that was pretty harsh, and it hit Wales hard at that stage, on the half-hour mark, more or less. And South Africa scored just after that again, and suddenly the game was 24-9, and it was taken away from Wales. So that was the big moment that mattered for me. Young Wales side struggled after that, and the Boks just got stronger. So strange TMO decision. Difficult one. It was a very close one. We're going to see a lot more of those in the World Cup, but it's going to be an interesting World Cup, especially with these TMOs. Finally, the last thought from me was, I think we might see some problems with Damian Willemse. I've been one to say that it's strange to see players get a red card for accidental clash of heads. His clash of heads there in the second half earned him a yellow card. Was reviewed, was said there was mitigation, but I think we might see a citing officer intervene there. I think it'd be harsh on Damien. I think it's a harsh law, but that's the laws of the game. He was upright. There was a clash of heads. There was contact, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a citing there. I think it'd be bad for the Boks, and we're hoping it doesn't happen, obviously. But I think it'd be pretty tough on them. But don't be surprised if you see a citing there. And finally, guys, not something I do much on this rugby channel, but tomorrow is a big game for my football team. You might notice that badge there. Go Hammers. They're playing Chelsea tomorrow, so I know I'm going to get some grief on that as well. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And I'll be posting a lot more of these videos going on as we go on. And I'll be posting a lot more videos as we go on to the World Cup. And obviously addressing some of the stuff as well. And we'll have some fun with it. And obviously, also just keep an eye out for our podcast, the MDL Sunday Times Rugby writer. Myself do a weekly podcast called To the Last Drop. It's rugby and wine. Obviously, but it's also available on this platform, and you can find it on all major platforms that have podcasts. Anyway, cheers. We'll chat soon again. Cheers.